Now in this video, we'll cover a technique which is very commonly used by the deep learning practitioners and which generally works almost every time. That is the batch normalization. Let us take this example to understand what batch norm is and how it works. This is the neural network which takes the inputs x1, x2, x3 and x4, and here w1, w2 up till wl are the weights of this network. Here L is the number of layers in the network. Also, for simplicity, I am assuming that the bias term is 0. And the activation function for all of these layers is set to sigmoid. If you recall, we normalized the inputs before sending them to the model, right? Now, the reason for normalizing the pixel values of images is that it speeds up the training process. Using these normalized pixel values, we perform forward propagation. First of all, we calculate the activations of the first layer, which is the dot product of weights and the normalized inputs. Then we apply the sigmoid activation function on that, which is my first hidden layer activations. Similarly, we calculate the second hidden layer activations, which is the dot product of W2 with first hidden layer activations H1. And then we apply the activation function on that. We will continue this step till we get the output, which is the dot product of WL with HL-1. If you recall, initially the inputs were normalized. But as we compute the hidden layer activations by performing dot products, which means that these values are not normalized anymore. However, wouldn't it be great if all these activation values were also normalized? That would speed up the training process even more. This is what batch normalization does. It normalizes the activations of the hidden layers. So if you apply batch normalization on a particular layer, it will normalize the activation functions of that particular layer. We use the mean and standard deviation to normalize the activation functions. Let's see how these values are normalized. So we first calculate the mean of all the activations of a particular layer. So we take the sum of the activations and divide it by the number of neurons in that layer. And then we calculate the standard deviation. I hope you are familiar with the formula of calculating the mean and standard deviations. Once we have the mean and standard deviation values, we normalize the activation functions using this formula. Here, we first subtract the mean from the activation values and divide that with the standard deviation value. The epsilon in the denominator is added just to make sure that the denominator is non-zero. So this will be a very small value. This makes the mean and standard deviation of all hidden layer activations 0 and 1 respectively. However, we do not want all hidden layers to have the same distribution. So we add some learnable parameters to these normalized activations. So our hidden layer activations now become gamma times H normalized plus beta. Here gamma and beta are the learnable parameters of the batch normalization layer which are learned during the backpropagation process. This is how batch normalization normalizes the hidden layer activations and helps speed up the training process. Let us now look at the steps that will follow to use the batch normalization in order to build our neural network. In this video, we'll see some advantages of using batch normalization. The first advantage, which we have already seen in the last notebook, is that the training process speeds up when we use the batch normalization. Intuitive reason behind this is that the activations from hidden layer are being normalized, which makes the training process faster. Another advantage of batch normalization is that since it ensures that the output from a particular layer will have the same mean and standard deviation, that is, they are normalized, and hence it can possibly reduce the internal covariate shift. I'll come back to internal covariate shift in a bit. This research paper on batch normalization, published by Google on March 2015, explains how it helps to reduce the internal covariate shift and hence accelerate the training. Link to this paper is given below this video. Feel free to check it out. Let's now understand what do we mean by internal covariate shift. Let's say we are training an image classification model in which we have to distinguish between the images of a dog and not dog. Now in the first batch that is sent to the model for training, let's say we have images of white dogs only. These images will have a certain distribution as well. Using these images, the model will update its parameters. Now let's say a new batch of images goes to the model. This time we have images of dogs which are not white in color. These images will have a slightly different distribution as compared to that of the previous distribution of white dogs. Now the model will update its parameters according to these new images. Due to this change in parameters of the model, distribution of activations from the model also changes. And this change in distribution of activations is known as internal covariate shift. Batch normalization helps to reduce this internal covariate shift by normalizing the activations of the model. However, in a study published in April 2019 by MIT researchers, they found that the batch normalization actually does not solve the internal covariate shift problem. In this particular research paper, they have trained 3 different models. First one was the standard VGG network without any batch normalization layer. Here, VGG is a name of architecture given to a deep neural network. We'll cover this later in this course. The second one was a standard VGG network with a batch normalization layer. And the third model was the standard VGG network with batch normalization layer and random noise. This random noise had non-zero mean and non-unit variance and is generated by random for each layer. It is then added after the batch normalization layer to introduce covariate shift into the activation. They made 2 conclusions from this. The first conclusion they got was that the third model, that is the model with batch normalization layer and random noise, has less stable distributions across all the layers compared with the other 2 models. So this is justified since we have added extra noise at each layer. You can see here that the noisy model marked in pink has a higher variance as compared to the other models marked in blue and orange. The second conclusion of the research was, despite of the noise, the training accuracy of the second and the third model are similar. So even after adding the random noise at each layer, the training accuracies were similar. Also, accuracies from both of these models are higher than the first model. It could thus be concluded that internal covariate shift might not be contributing factor of the performance of batch normalization. So instead of solving the internal covariate shift problem, it smoothens the loss function which we use to optimize the parameters of the model and makes the training process faster. This is a topic with huge research interest and researchers are continuously researching around it.